Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are continuing our Budget Interesting Commanders series, or Interesting Budget, I should say. We're looking at the EDHrec, like top 5 theme for budget commanders. Again, my budget I see is $2 or less according to the TCG market value, not a sponsor. So anyway, one of my commenters catches me if I don't say not a sponsor, so yeah, I make sure to say it now. Anyway, what is this series about? These videos are meant to give good ideas for commanders that are available on a budget and a look at how to build them. So we're looking at not only the commander, but some picks for like really important things to include in the 99 that are also budget. So if you want to make a budget deck, this is a great starting point. We're looking now at themes from EDHrec. Alright, so EDHrec is a great tool to use, and it's looking at the top 5 budget commanders I think is always a good idea. What is a theme? So a theme for a deck is kind of defines how the deck works. I've read this definition from Draftism many times, so I'm not going to do it again, but basically it tells you what kind of cards you should have, or what the most popular cards are, and what to include, and also gives you an idea about win cons and ways to like avoid losing the game as well. Alright, so yeah, and this is all about equipment now. Equipment, I love equipment strategy, or theme, I should say. Equipment theme. So I like it for 2 main reasons. First, there's a wide selection of high quality equipment, even on a budget. Alright, you can find a whole bunch of really good options for cheap. Okay, this is very focused on kind of like a Voltron thing usually, but it wins, you know. Hey. Second, they are a good choice for both people who are newer to the game and experienced players, so they're able to understand the mechanics and having a high ceiling for tactics. So yeah, newer players picking this up will not be very difficult, but like maximizing the usefulness and kind of tweaking how specific things work, you can do a lot of that. So the ceiling on it, the kind of skill cap is very, very high. In the 99, okay, Mask of Memory, first of all, always a good option. 2 mana, or 2 colorless, I should say. Whenever a quick creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, discard a card. So draw 2, discard 1. Still card advantage, a little bit of card sorting. And only 28 cents, Masterwork of Ingenuity. This is like huge. Why is this card so cheap? So for 1 mana, you may have Masterwork of Ingenuity enter the battlefield as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. Any equipment, not your equipment, just any. Someone else has a super awesome equipment, great. Steal it. Or not steal, make a copy of it. 33 cents. Finally, Nettle Cyst. It has only 3 mana to cast. Living Weapon. So when it enters the battlefield, you make a 0/0 germ token and put this on it. So it kind of makes its own creature, which is very nice. One of the hassles of equipment decks is keeping kind of a creature on the battlefield to equip. That's having the extra equipment usually eats into the number of creatures you can fit into a deck, so this is very important to have, or similar things to this. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. Again, those effects that just each artifact and or enchantment you control, +1/+1, adds up so quickly, especially in equipment decks. You know, a lot of board wipes and things like that will take all the creatures out and leave all the equipment. So yeah, this is scary. 122. Number 5. Sir Gwen, Hero of Ashvale. So she's 3 Mardu. High casting cost for a commander. There's kind of the main downside, I think, but still, a 5/5 Vigilance Menace. Oh boy. So whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Again, attacks. Not does damage, not, whatever else it may be. Just attacks. You just have to declare an attack and you draw a card and lose the life. Really good. Equipment you control have equipped Knight 0. So 0 casting cost for equipping any Knight. Obviously, Knight Kindred. Mardu is also great with Knight Kindred, and Knights are great to have for offensive. They've got all kinds of equipment synergy, and really just if you're looking for a creature type that's really good on offense, Knights are way up there. 167. Oh, sorry, she's also in 7,157 decks, so you have a very nice selection of resources there. Shattered Landscape. Okay, so you can tap this to add 1 colorless or sacrifice it and basically use it like an Evolving Wilds, but only for the land types you use. Finally, it has cycling. It is a red, white, black cycling, so it means you discard it, draw another card. Late game, that might actually be worth it, right? It's not going to be the top priority or the main reason you include it in the deck, but it's a nice option to have. Anyway, 16 cents. Cranial Ram for a black and a red, or Rakdos. Living Weapon again. So it does that. You cast it, you make the 0/0 germ token, and then it gets +X+1, where X is the number of artifacts you control. So this only increases offense. That's fine by me, Equip 2 for 15 cents is really not bad. Finally, Knight of the White Orchid. 2 white. First strike, 2/2, and when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more land than you, you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. What's nice about that is that it says plains, right? So if you've got a Triome, which are not budget, okay, don't get mad at me for mentioning cards that are not budget. I'm not going to pretend not budget cards don't exist or something. That doesn't make sense. That did happen, that's why I'm saying it. Anyway, I'm sounding all bitter now. Oh boy. Anyway, but yeah, it just says plains, not basic plains, right? So if you've got those triomes, if you've got even dual lands that have the land type listed, you can put those straight in. Really huge advantage, actually. 90 cents. Number 4. Dog Meat Everloyal. I do love a dog named Dog Meat. That's just fun. And it's 1 red, 1 green, 1 white, or Naya. You know what we always say about Naya? Naya business. Anyway, okay. I gotta stop making that really lame joke. Anyway, okay. When Dog Meat enters the battlefield, mill 5 cards, then return an order equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, create a junk token. So first of all, that recursion is great. There is mill. You might be able to use that to your advantage as well. But yeah, not too hard to build around that. With the green in the mix, it would be nicer if it had black as well, but oh well. Anyway, the junk token has tap it, sacrifice this artifact, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So basically you're going to make a whole bunch of extra cards you can use for 1 turn only. Or you can exile a bunch from the... You don't make the cards. You exile them from the top of your library. You give access to them. Yeah, 57 cents. Again, he's only in 1,536 decks, but he's a newer commander. That's why. The green color identity for here allows for a lot of options for other equipment commanders don't have. So yeah, what stands out to me in this is including the green. Boros, very common, right? The red, white, and equipment, yeah. Green though is people that might not know what to do with that. So that's what we're going to look at. Rancor. This is actually an aura. So it could, for 1 green enchanted creature, it gets +2 and has trample. Always, you can't have too much trample in these decks. And when Rancor is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, return Rancor to its owner's hand. So this is just going to keep bouncing back to your hand over and over and over and over. If 3Dog DJ had, it's from the Aura 1, if he had green in the color identity, this would be a must-have in his deck. He does not though, he's Boros. So that's unfortunate. Anyway, 84 cents. Danitha New Banalia's Light. So one green-white. I actually had her in the Aura video as well. She is a 2/2 for 3, not bad. When you consider Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink. Once during your turn, you may cast an aura or an equipment spell from your graveyard. This is really not sneakily nice because there's no like trigger. It's not like when she attacks or something like that. Nothing in particular needs to be done to make this happen. You just get to do this on your turn. You can do it, your pre-combat main phase or post-combat main phase. Once per turn is the only limitation. There's no like trigger associated with it. That can be kind of tricky. Anyway, 96 cents. And Gunner Conscript, 1 and a green for a 2/2 with Trample. It gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. First up, very nice start. And when it dies, if it was enchanted, create a junk token, great. And if it was equipped, create a junk token. So let's just making even more of those junk tokens. So what you want to do is get a whole bunch of those things, and then something that will give you a bonus for having all those equipment. They do count as being artifacts. So yeah, sorry, not equipment, artifacts. They do count as being artifacts. So a lot of those like bonuses where it's like +1/+1 for each artifact you control, it will count all of those. So yeah, 20 cents only. Number 3. Nahiri, Forged in Fury. This is one of my personal favorites. Alright, she is in 5,161 decks. She is 4 white, red, again Boros, for a 5/4. Expensive casting cost. Always the downside with especially for a commander. I'm actually putting this in the 99 of my Boros equipment deck. She affinity for equipment, so the spell costs 1 less to cast for each equipment you control. Affinity does work on commander decks as well. So if she gets destroyed, if you have 6 equipment, you just cast her for a red and a white, straight back in. So that whole high casting cost, as long as you've got the equipment, who cares, right? And whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library, you may play that card this turn. Pretty standard ability, but you may cast equipment spells this way without paying their mana cost. So you're just throwing a bunch of equipment straight into the... Again, you want a very heavy equipment, right? Focus deck, and then you're just going to be having access to extra cards and then casting all the equipment that comes up for free. Oh boy. 182. Bureau Headmaster, again for Boros, a white and a red. Equipment spells cost 1 less to cast, equip abilities 1 less to activate. Very nice. You're kind of doubling down on the equipment cost reduction, because not everything is going to be exiled, right? And active equip abilities, reducing that by 1 really makes the whole deck, the casting costs on the deck in general, drop pretty significantly. Anyway, $1. Blade Hold War Whip. This is actually an equipment. 1 Boros again. So red-white. For Mirrodin, it makes the creature... I love things that make the creature to automatically a creature token that it equips to, because that is something you always want. Equip abilities you activate of other equipment costs 1 less to activate. Again, that equipment reduction or equip cost reduction. So yeah. Equipped creature has double strike. Double strike, especially if you're looking to equip your commander, that's number 1. If you're going commander damage, double strike is like the number 1 thing. And finally, Akiri Fearless Voyager. This is actually a card I featured in my Boros card draw from the Mardu series. So whenever you attack a player with one or more equipped creatures, draw a card. Just drawing an extra card for attacking, you know? It's simple, but it's very nice. Something you're going to be doing anyway, you might as well draw a card. And for 1 white, you can unattach an equipment to make something indestructible. That is so much stronger than it sounds, because it's not only about like being able to make something indestructible, it's about like the other player saying, oh, they can just make it indestructible, I'll target something else instead, right? I won't even bother. I'm going to target, you know, the other player. So really, it's almost kind of like a deflecting SWAT. A metagame deflecting SWAT. Anyway, 28 cents only. Crazy. Number 2. Arna Kennerud. I don't know how to pronounce the double dot there. Sky Captain. So she is in 2,569 decks at the moment, and a 4/4 for 5 from Flying Lifelink. Not too bad. She has Ward, discard a card. So anyone casting something on her has to discard a card. There are ways around Ward. It's flawed, but as I always say, it's better than nothing. Okay, whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of the permanent attached to that creature. So you're just doubling everything. If you've got a bunch of equipment attached to something and it attacks, you just double that equipment. And she doesn't need to attack to trigger this, right? So yeah. Esper's kind of a weird color identity, but this is so strong. Oh my. There's so many equipment that if you double it, you're just going to be like automatically in commander damage territory. So anyway, 99 cents. Okay, really focusing on the blue for this one, because I feel like blue, you don't get a lot of like blue equipment, but or at least this deck doesn't. But anyway, Assimilation Aegis. Or Aegis, however you say it. I've heard it both ways. Anyway. 1 and Azorius. Azorius is the one I always want to forget the name of. So, a white-blue. When it enters the battlefield, exile it to one target creature until it leaves the battlefield. It becomes attached to a creature for as long as that it remains attached to it. That creature becomes a copy of the card exiled. So you're going to play this, exile something your opponents control, and then you equip this to something, and whatever you equip it to is a copy of that. This is great with like tokens, right? A 1/1 token is going to become this big scary creature right away. That's actually someone else's creature. It's so mean. Anyway, 123. Kappa Cannoneer. This is a great one. This actually came way down in value. I think when it first came out, it was like $10. Anyway, I feel like I'm wrong saying that out loud, but anyway. 5 and a blue sounds too expensive, but improvise. So your artifacts help cast the spell. Each artifact you tap reduces it by 1. So you can tap 5 artifacts, any artifacts, right? And make this a 1 blue casting cost for a 4/4 with Ward 4. And whenever a Cannoneer or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 on Kappa Cannoneer, and it can't be blocked this turn. You're automatically going to be making those token artifacts enter the battlefield. So every time one of those enters, putting a +1/+1 on it, and unblockable. He's going to get very big and be unblockable just constantly. Yeah. Finally, Cranial Plating. For 2 colorless, equipped creature gets +1 for each artifact you control. Great effect. 2 black, attach Cranial Plating to target creature you control. Equip 1. Okay, so it has attach and equip. Attach is not equip. Equip is at sorcery speed, okay? Attach is anytime you want. Attach is crazy. You can declare your attackers, they set up their blocks, and you're like, okay, now Now I'm going to make this unblocked creature suddenly huge and maybe just like be big enough to take someone out of the game. 36 cents. Number 1. Oh, what theme do you want to see? I always ask and no one ever says anything. Okay, anyway. Alexios Demios of Cosmos. Alexios Demos of Cosmos? I hate some of the names in here. Oh boy. Anyway, 3 in a red. He is in 593 decks. He is a very new commander. I think that's why it's so uncommon, but Trample 4/4. He attacks each combat if able. Can't be sacrificed and can't attack its owner. Very important little point there. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player gains control of Alexios, untaps it, and puts a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. So everyone's going to just gain control of this commander over and over and over. And basically your opponents have to keep throwing him at someone else. So he's going to, in a standard commander game, there's 4 players. He's going to be attacking 4 times. Which is really important. Give him like indestructible or something, and then he's going to just be getting so big. Every time he goes around, it's +4/+4. He's going to get every turn, right? Just over and over and over. Anyway, 25 cents only. Overpowering Attack. 3 red. It has free running for 2 in a red. You may cast the spell for its free running cost if you dealt combat damage this turn to a player with an assassin or a commander. So if your commander gets through and does damage, you can just cast this for 2 in a red, and let's see what it does. Untap all creatures you control that attack this turn. If it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase, followed by an additional main phase. So if you cast this in your pre-combat main phase, you can cast it for 2 in a red. It's going to make another combat phase and then another main phase after. Just crazy extra turn shenanigans. It's not extra turns, I guess. Extra phase shenanigans, I should say. 49 cents only. Beamtown Beatstick. Okay, 1 red. Equipped creature gets +1 and has menace. +1 attack and has menace. Menace is nice, right? Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player or battle, create a treasure token. So you're just going to be able to make multiple treasure tokens every turn with this. This is usually kind of not great on this commander because hopefully he's going to just keep doing damage over and over and over. You can make 4 extra mana per turn with this. Boy. 30 cents. The Sound of Drums. 2 in a red. Enchanted creature is goaded, and if enchanted creature will deal combat damage to a opponent or player, it deals double that damage instead. Usually you'd want to use this for the goad. Here you want to put in your make your commander unblockable and maybe indestructible, and then put this on your commander as well. And then double damage every time. And maybe creating a treasure token, and just keeps getting bigger. Anyway, 15 cents. Oh, sorry. Also, last thing, for 2 in a red, return Sound of the Drums from your graveyard to your hand. So if your commander does get destroyed, you can just keep dropping this back down. It's not cheap to do, but it's worthwhile. Okay, please hit like and subscribe. It does make such a big difference. It really does. The list. Okay, here we go. Sir Gwen, Hero of Ashvale, 167. Dog Meat, Ever Loyal, 57. Just a great name for a dog in general. Nahiri, Forge and Fury, 182. Arna, Kennerud, I think. Sky Captain, 99 cents. Alexios Demos of Cosmos. Alexios Demios of Cosmos? I don't know. 25 cents. Okay, take it easy.